Good evening. Before we get started tonight, as many of you know, Coach Garrow passed away this past Friday, and so before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to have a moment of silence in remembrance and memoriam of him, please. Thank you. I just want everybody to remember him, keep his family in your thoughts and prayers going forward until we finish this school year. If there's anything you can do for them, that would probably be appreciated. And his celebration of life will be this Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Brandon Valley High School Activities Center. So, thank you. All right, Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone tonight. Roll call, Mr. Lombard.
Oh.
Yes.
Odie? Yep. Saxer?
Absent.
Telcott?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
All right, if there are no changes that need to be made to the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve that as presented, please.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. There are no conflict of interest, disclosure, or waiver requests this evening. Is there any community input? There hadn't been any scheduled, just to make sure. All right. Hearing none. That takes us to our next section, general business. First item on the agenda, a good news report from the Brandon Valley Fine Arts Night.
Push. A little bit of what? Push it. Nope, just push it once. And your mic's hot there.
I'm on? Okay, cool. Can I move it? Okay, awesome. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jordan Herron, and I am the art teacher at Fred Assam Elementary and Inspiration Elementary this year. Tonight, I am here to speak to you about some of the good things happening in our building, specifically at the elementary level within the art departments. First of all, I wanted to bring your attention to Erin Reef, and that she's been nominated for Art Teacher of the Year 2 times while she was at Brandon Elementary, but she is now starting at the middle school this year as the art teacher, but I thought that deserved to be recognized. One other thing I wanted to note was in 2020, Fred Assam Elementary won a competition called Paint the Plow, which is hosted each year by the City of Sioux Falls Street Division, and the schools in the area are invited to paint a plow, and my building, one of my buildings, Fred Assam Elementary, actually was able to win that in 2020, bringing some recognition to our district throughout the City of Sioux Falls. In 2021, we actually swept the K-2 division of the Governor's Student Art Competition, and we had 2 students from Brandon Elementary and 1 from Fred Assam that placed in the top 3 of that division, K-2, and their artwork was on display at the Capitol Building in Pierre for the first few months of 2021. This year, specifically at one of my buildings, Fred Assam, I was approached by some students wanting to start an art club. So I was able to do that this year, and it's been an awesome experience. And it was open for 3rd and 4th grade, and actually 1/3 of that student body within 3rd and 4th grade signed up and are participating this year in the art club, which has been an awesome experience. So far, we've been able to do some community service things, and being able to just make some projects for them to take home and to brighten up our school has been a great experience as well. So all of these amazing things are shedding light on the creative ability of our students, and just the fact that they have the ability to reach their schools and the community and their family, I think sheds a lot of light on what we're doing right now in the art department. And whether that means doing community service projects such as creating cards to donate to local nursing homes, or painting windows for community and students and teachers and parents to see, art is an experience for everybody to be able to participate in and enjoy, which now brings us to Fine Arts Night 2022. I am Heidi McNamara. I'm the art teacher at Robert Bennis Elementary. This year's Fine Arts Night will take place March 24th at the intermediate school and at Robert Bennis. We're co-hosting it this year. We have lots of different activities planned, make and take stations with different types of materials that students can use. We have a Lego sculpture contest where students can bring in sculptures that they have created, and we will also have a glow room where students can use fluorescent art materials and bring them in there and look underneath the black light and watch them glow. This event really builds community involvement and connects others and provides a venue for our students' artwork to be seen at a larger community event. We have over 65 volunteers, whether they're students, administration, educational assistants, student teachers, retired teachers, and even middle school and high school students that will come in. With the support of local vendors such as Joel Palma at Monarch Sales and the Brandon Optimist Club, we have been able to put this on, as well as school support. This year, which is new for Fine Arts Night, we are going to have a K-12 district art show featuring artwork from junior K to 12th grade. And we have found a company called Outlay, which we will send student artwork into. They will put it in a frame and they will set up the art show for us. It is something that we are very excited about and should have over 3,000 works of art displayed at Robert Bennis Elementary. And we have a new community installation, which I will pass over to Erin Reeve to tell you more about that.
Hi, my name is Erin Reeve. I teach at the Brandon Valley Middle School. I've been previously at BE for 9 years. This year we're doing an installation piece. It's a community involvement piece, and so each middle schooler, 7th and 8th grade art student, is making a clay poppy. And those clay poppies are going to be put up, they're going to be hopefully finished, they're going to be finished by the Loyalty Day Parade. That'll be happening in the beginning of May. And I say that because my kiln just stopped firing today, so in the back of my mind, I'm like, this kiln is going to give me a heart attack. But each student has taken such pride in making one of these, and it's just been a great thing for middle schoolers to see that, yes, at any state of life, it's good to give back to the people who give to us. And so I've talked with the VFW, and I'm going to meet with that group at one of their meetings. I've also talked with the city, Devin Coughlin on the city board, and I'm going to get to one of those meetings and kind of talk with them on installation and what it looks like, and they got to be mowed around. We got to, they're going to probably be up for a week. It's going to be a temporary installation. And then it's going to be, there's a possibility that these can then go outreach to the community members. So I tell the kids, my grandpa was a veteran. Would I put one of these next to his grave? You bet I would. And so it kind of becomes bigger than just an art piece. It becomes a thank you piece. And I think sometimes art is such an avenue for kids to express themselves, and not just kids, but adults. And I think sometimes we need to, especially middle school, we need them to feel that impact it can make. And so we're just really proud about that impact that the community hopefully will feel, and they'll feel our arms giving them a hug and hopefully loving on them a little bit, because they've done such amazing things for us. And so with that, we're hoping to reach out for Fine Arts Night to the collegiate level a little bit more, and maybe network with, I've talked to one of the professors at USD to see if they want to come down and do some demonstrating and things like that, because now teaching middle school, I look at it as, how can I make this also for those middle schoolers and high schoolers, and so we just want them to kind of feel that. So we are so thankful that you give us the opportunity to speak, and if you guys have any questions or anything, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, administration report, superintendent's report, Superintendent Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am certain I have two links that are going to be very excited to come to Brandon Valley Fine Arts Night. I know we greatly enjoyed it. A couple of years ago, I know we took a one-year hiatus, but it truly is an absolutely incredible event, and I would encourage all of our community members, as well as our parents and our families, to get to that. It's an absolutely wonderful experience. And thank you guys very much for what you do for our kids. All right, on to the superintendent's report. Just want to note, COVID-19 information website maintains our centralized communication hub. Message has not changed. If you are sick, stay home. That update that occurred back in December is obviously still our most recent update. No changes beyond that. Entry-level driver training. This is a federal requirement that we have commented on here the last month or so. I would note that you are approving a wage for entry-level driver trainer. So that would be an individual that is not salaried, like for example our director and or our mechanic. Right now our mechanic would be the only individual that's capable of doing this training, other than like Wayne Hansen as an example of an individual who could do this training. It's outside of his scope of being a regular driver, so we approved this trainer wage for an individual such as himself. So that's just an item to note. We are in the process of finalizing the training components and how that process looks exactly. So we will be able to continue to train bus drivers as we work through the remainder of this year. Brandon Elementary core area drainage, we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the agenda. I think it's just really important to note that this was spoke about previously, and we'll formalize that here later this evening. BV Listens, it's our strategic plan, aligned to our strategic plan. It's our work environment survey for both certified and classified staff members. That was open for staff to take, has since closed, and now we're in the process of assembling all of that respective information to utilize as we make strategic decisions. Budget process overview, just want to supply everyone with the general timeline and or process associated with our budget. Forms and documents have been distributed. That happens here January through March. In February, you will receive the presentation of the 5-year plan. In late February, we will approve those new staffing positions, and then obviously you can see that the preliminary capital outlay budget will be presented in March. That preliminary capital outlay budget is preliminary because many of those items are dependent upon the numbers that come back in terms of bids, etc. So sometimes we're able to do more, sometimes we're able to do, we have to do less. That's all dependent upon the numbers that come in through those respective bid processes. The preliminary budget will be presented in May, and then we will look to hold our public budget hearing in July with potential action. Would note there are 2 school board seats that will be available. Those are 3-year terms. April 7th is the earliest date to circulate a petition. May 13th is the deadline to file said petition. There's a requirement for filing your financial interest statement because of our school size, 15 days within filing that nominating petition. The 21st is the approved date for the school board election. If you have any questions, contact the business office. Timeline in terms of negotiations and wage recommendation. Obviously right now we're working through the legislative process. Here in the month of March, we will have pre-negotiations meeting between the administration and the BVEA, and then in March we will work with our Personnel Welfare Committee. Member Saxer and President Ullum serve on the Personnel Welfare Committee. We'll meet with them prior to the school board meeting on March 28th. In executive session, we will prepare for negotiations collectively as a whole board, and then on March 30th, we will engage in our initial meeting with the Brandon Valley Education Association, and then I would say in addition to that date, we have additional dates scheduled if necessary in terms of meetings with the BVEA. Look to ratify the contract on April 11th. I would note that at that same meeting, we will approve classified wage recommendation, administrative salary recommendations, etc. In the event that it is not finalized, it would move back to the second meeting in April. Legislative update would say that they're in their week 2 is done. Working on week 3 would point you to the Associated School Boards as well as the School Administrators of South Dakota webpage if you're interested in tracking bills and respective legislation. ASBSD has a tremendous resource. It's called Bill Tracker. I'm not going to comment on anything specifically right now because the process is so early. Many things die in committee, get smoked out, come back, etc. We'll just continue to maintain our watch on most of those respective resources. At this point in time, the budget that we really talk about, the 6% budgetary increase that was presented by the governor in her budget address, right now that's basically an empty bill, and they don't act on that until later in the legislative session once they've worked through a majority of their other processes. It's kind of like the last thing that gets done, unfortunately. So we continue to monitor that. Some calendar items for this school year. I would note there's no school on Friday, February 18th. There's no school on February 21st. Parent-teacher conferences are scheduled for March 14th and March 15th. School will be in session on March 17th. That was previously a snow day that we will be making up, so their school is in session on March 17th. March 18th, there is no school for comp day, and April 1st, we do have in-service. High school addition, would note that that project is out for bid right now. The information is available on Architecture Incorporated's website. Those plans are out there. Contractors are in the process of reviewing those plans. Our priorities, as have been stated over the course of the last few months, general classrooms, ground floor special education, science lab classrooms, and of course we want to maximize our land usage while upgrading our east side and then also minimize the impact of parking. So no changes to that. The schedule remains on track. We will be opening bids on February 10th at 2 p.m. in the Administration Center over here at the central office. We will then spend Friday ultimately combing those bids and then bring forward a bid for your approval at the February 14th Board of Education meeting. And then you can see the timeline in terms of construction and when that begins. Would note you'll see a little action on the band practice field, which will become a parking lot and serve dual purpose as parking lot and band practice field. That process will start again, like I said, this spring and then be completed August 1 prior to the school year. Then we'll have our construction process throughout the summer and the school year, and then final completion set for 2023. With that, Madam Chair, I would certainly entertain any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Larson. Doesn't look like any questions tonight, so appreciate. No board policy. That takes us to our first item under general business to approve the Brandon Valley School District 2022-2023 academic calendar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last month we had our presentation of the academic calendar. Again, consistent and corresponding is really the common message. I have received no questions and feedback. I would certainly entertain any questions that you have at this point in time and would recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 2, approve the real estate purchase agreement between the Brandon Valley School District, the seller, and the City of Brandon, South Dakota, the buyer, for approximately 2.05 acres, plat of lots 1 and 2 of Block 1, Brandon Elementary School addition, for $1 as presented.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm going to show you just the diagram that's in the purchase agreement. Would note that the buyer pays 100% of the costs of all of the costs as we're ultimately just exchanging the land or giving them the land. This is for improvements to the core area and will serve primarily as improvements to the drainage in the core area. I would note that the swale, as it would be called, will be a It's not going to be an incredibly deep swale. It's going to be mowable. It's not going to have water standing in it. The general concept is it throttles down water as it drains through underground piping to that spot and then down the track towards Aspen Park. I do have a picture that I feel will give you a little bit better idea of where it is and what we're talking about specifically. So you have that small walkway drainage cement area there on the east side between the road, and you can see the corner of the track there, and then it just peels down to the south. I would note that there will be improvements made to sidewalks on Elm Street, and that will be done by the city. So they'll make the improvements for walkability and whatnot to the school. So would certainly recommend approval. We'll answer any questions that you have. Again, generally it is for cooperation with the city as we work to improve drainage in the court area and collaborate with one another as we improve walkability and lifestyle in Brandon.
Any questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve that as presented.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. General business, items number 1 through 4. I would entertain a motion to approve those, please.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Personnel item, I would entertain a motion to approve items number 1 through 8, please.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. There's one item there for information only on a transfer. That takes us to communication items. Board of Education, there is a thank you there for your review for the retired staff luncheon. And that takes us to our board reports. Does anyone have a formal board report that they would wish to share tonight?
I guess I'll start with the transportation. We had a meeting Thursday night. I believe it was an excellent meeting. Great communication with what we're looking forward to for the next 5 years and the construction and the challenges that we will face with that. And there was talk on new vehicles. We're getting 3 new buses, a couple more Suburbans, some other transportation needs as well there. One of the exciting points is that there's been some deliberation, some study going on with looking at some propane buses. And with the recommendation that's been brought to us, both Harrisburg and some other schools around the area, Lenox, they are extremely happy with it. So we had decided that we'll try these 3 new buses out with propane. From that point on, we'll deliberate and see what the mechanic and everybody says about them. So that's exciting. Pros and cons, obviously, with everything. The entry-level driver training, I think, is another positive, if you ask myself. And if I'm missing anything, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you. EDC for Teachwell, I don't know if anybody saw the little snippet on Ion Kellaland the other night, talked about the academy and some things going on down there, pretty exciting. We've been able to branch out, so it's kind of a unique situation, but it's been fun to be a part of the last few years, so I appreciate that. Child Nutrition and Wellness, I was unable to make that meeting, and when Member Saxer's here, we can ask her to do a report on that, but I heard it was a good meeting and good discussion, so.
We had a safety committee meeting this few days ago, chaired by Principal Schleckaway. Just a couple things. It was nice to hear Officer Sarda's overview his perception. I think his insights are always worth listening to, and once again, I'm thrilled for the partnership that we have with the city of Brandon that can make that happen for our schools. Best things and most important things are continue to work on relationships. That's our best line of defense, if that's the phrase that you want, but relationships with the students so they'll communicate with us in times that they're concerned, and helping to look out for each other. They'll communicate with their teachers and with their administration and counselors, and that's the proactive approach as opposed to the reactive approach. There's always things that could challenge us, and if we could ban TikTok, that'd be great, but we can't. So anyhow, a lot of great things, a lot of thought going into protecting our students every day and things that go on behind the scenes that we're not aware of, but that we're thrilled for.
If I may add, I just want to thank the staff. You know, as much as we talked, the big thing was how students feel comfortable talking to our teachers. So the whole thing of, if you see something, say something, it's working. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Hearing none, that takes us to the end of our scheduled agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming.